Okay, so we are recording.
How you doing, everybody? Welcome to the Science of Fantasy Football. Why the Science of Fantasy Football? You get a meteorologist and a biologist together. We're going to use the scientific method, and that is going to make you a smarter fantasy football player. And if you're a smarter fantasy football player, you are more likely to win more money. Doesn't that sound like a
More
lot
money,
of fun?
more money, more
See,
money.
I'm not guaranteeing you're going to win more money. I'm just saying you're going to be smarter because you're going to be using
Yeah.
statistics in a smarter way. And joining me as he does each and every week, he is the fantasy professor. After all, he's a real professor. It's John Bush. And John, we are smack dab right in the middle of draft season.
We are. We just had an expo update. Check out that podcast. We now are doing our regularly scheduled. And Dennis, I think we are on the clock.
Yes, we
And
are.
why don't we start off the show? Because Dennis and I never have a schedule. I'm going to enter the draft room and I'm going to share it. See, you have a little. Now we're on the clock, Dennis, and let me share this so people can look at what we are seeing. This is a Superflex Best Ball Tournament entry, $35, best ball, 20 rounds. And we are trying to figure things out, Dennis. We are 210 right now, and let's see what's been going on in a Superflex. A lot of quarterbacks off the board here, as you would predict. The first four, including our pick three, Jalen Hurts, were taken. And then there was some tight ends, wide receivers, and then Burrow and Mahomes. How about that going before and Bo Nix? That's a little aggressive. And Dak Prescott versus Mayfield is still out there. That surprises me. I would have probably thought about Mayfield over Nix or Prescott. So let's hit that. What are you thinking about that if we were going to take another quarterback? I'm not saying we should, but if we were, would that be somebody you would like to see? Because
So,
he's next.
so here's we are at we're at pick 210.
Right. And we
So
coming back in about 6 picks. So we
so
got two
after
bites right now.
correct. And after we pick, only two teams pick after us.
Yes.
And the way I'm going to read this is I'm going to say the maximum number of quarterbacks
Yeah.
that will be picked before we pick again is two.
And I just
Okay.
pulled up the quarterback list. So there's who's
Yeah.
out there.
So I'm cool with Mayfield. I really, and it's too early to take him, but I love Jordan Love this year.
Yeah.
We've got Goff, who is a solid QB2 in super flex. You got, we've got a lot of choices here, is what I'm getting at. Mayfield would be my primary target here.
Yeah.
But if we take Mayfield, we're going to lose two other players that are on our board at other positions right now.
Right.
Okay, so my gut says we're going to lose two quarterbacks and we're going to lose two position players.
Yes.
So right now, our top position players, when you look at our data, you look at wide receiver, and I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is clearly the last in the tier that is at the top of the wide receiver group. Guys like Neighbors are gone. AJ Brown, I think. AJ Brown's still there, so that's good. But Amon-Ra is probably the last of those real top wide receivers. So he's at the top.
Let's
of,
see.
of
So
the wide
Dennis,
receiver
this would be
board.
Brown, Nico, Thomas, London, Brown. Let's just say those five. There's some that really interest me. Certainly Brown is number one. My second, I'm flipping, but there's pros and cons for AJ Brown. I
Yes.
love his back class.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind taking him. And then to me, my third pick, if we had three, uh, I between Brian Thomas and London, I do like London because there's nobody else there to compete with him.
Correct.
So
Correct.
that's kind of my top three. But you know, so I agree. So if we do take a running back or a wide receiver, and by the way, running backs would probably be Henry. I do agree with your cue.
Henry,
Chase
Chase
Brown will
Brown.
be
Yep.
somebody. I like Taylor. I like I like all those.
Oh,
So
there's some good
yeah,
meat left on the bone.
there's a lot there. Probably six in this group of six or seven that I wouldn't mind as my my RB1. So the question strategy wise, uh, we've had.
Do we? Here's the question: do we
It,
think those two teams that are picking
yeah,
before us, and they've got two picks before us each?
yeah.
Do we think they're taking a quarterback?
I think they are.
I think they are too. So
So, but
the
they've got another bite as well.
correct,
So I
but they're
think
gonna.
they'll be
Yeah.
going wide receiver. Somebody may jump for Kittle is out there.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think he's in the discussion. I'm not sure for us, but for them, which would be good if we,
Oh
I
yeah.
guess, do we want two bites of somebody else other than a quarterback and try to wait for the two more that are cheap? And I'm talking the Lawrence, maybe Love,
So
Geno Smith. I mean, we're
yeah.
talking some. I would almost say if we take an RBWR, we almost going to have to take two quarterbacks, or at least one next time, and maybe even two cheap ones. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking. I
So
don't
this
have
is
a decision yet. So what do
yeah.
you think? Let's talk that out a little bit.
So here's where I think the format is going to decide what I want to do because we've got one great quarterback already.
Yes,
Okay. So we're in really good shape.
yes,
This is a best ball
yes.
tournament. So I don't mind, and here's the weird strategy that I'm thinking might even be able to be employed
Uh-huh.
is to go one stud and two or three cheap
Yep.
and make sure the bye weeks don't overlap.
Mm-hmm.
And that's if this was a redraft league, I think Baker Mayfield would be the clear pick because the next time around,
We won't
assuming
get Mayfield unless we take
no,
him.
we won't get Mayfield unless we take him right here.
Yeah.
But in a best ball scenario, I like to have one of each at a great position. And here's where I would pivot. If we take Amon-Ra St. Brown,
Yep.
we've got a target hog to
Yes.
lead our wide receiver group.
Yes.
I don't think both Derrick Henry and Chase Brown will be gone. And if they are both gone, then we can pivot back to another wide receiver or another running back. We've got Jonathan Taylor out there. Like there's
Jacobs.
we got Josh Jacobs out there. So I think we've got enough talent at running back to roll the dice and say,
Wide
let's
receiver.
go Amon, because I think there's a clear break between Amon and the next group of wide receivers.
With the
And
proviso, I think Brown has the potential to be in that tier above him. And we
yes,
would stack him. And to be super aggressive,
Ooh,
if we
yeah.
take him and then take Brown, we're saying we want cheap quarterbacks and cheap running backs.
And
Is
I'd be
that too
fine.
much?
I'd
Is
actually
that too
love that.
much?
No, I actually love that strategy because what it does is it says we've got the top end quarterback. We got our quarterback one locked up. Okay. Now we take two really strong. I mean, AJ Brown, even on a bad year, was still top 12. Okay.
Could have two WR1s.
We could have two guys that are in the top five at
Could.
wide receiver. And again, this being best ball, I don't mind the shotgun approach at running back.
Yeah.
We take seven running backs
Yeah.
and we let them sort it out. We don't have to decide every week.
No.
So we get the guys, and maybe we'll get both ends of the same, backfield or something. I don't know. I don't know how that will stack up, but I do know that there's strength in numbers later on at running back. If you look at redraft this year, there's a lot of talent that are going from the third through sixth round at running back this year. The running backs are top heavy, and then there's a nice group down there. The Ken Walkers, the Brees Halls, even Kyron Williams is going third round in redraft and in a super flex. I mean, I talk about one quarterback redraft.
Right.
In a super flex, some of those guys are going to fall because there's going to be a quarterback panic later on. But the question is, how many quarterbacks go before our next pick? That would be
I'm thinking 10.
I'm thinking 10. So I'm thinking we are going to be looking at
A
the need.
Lawrence or Tag.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm cool with guys
Or
like that.
maybe a Stafford.
I'm 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 cool with getting Darnold later. I'm cool getting Geno Smith
Love
later.
be a
Yeah.
treat.
Love would be a treat. And I think there's a chance Love could fall to us in this scenario. Lawrence definitely will. And so, and I think Tua is going to fall plenty far. I'm even okay in a best ball of taking Cam Ward
Yes.
as one of my guys. I'm okay in a best ball situation taking a Sam Arnold or a Geno Smith. Those are the kinds of guys. I'm even okay with taking Anthony Richardson, as crazy as that sounds. Maybe the strategy is you get Richardson and then you get Jones.
Yeah.
So and you go a four quarterback build. We don't need a defense or a kicker in this format, so
Right.
we're looking at upside. I'm okay with going St. Brown and taking our chance on quarterback. We'll have a decision to make if Baker Mayfield falls to us in the third round. If he goes past these two guys, then maybe we sort of alter our opinion and take him instead. But if we leave this round, this set of rounds, these next two picks with Brown and Brown at wide receiver, I'm cool with that. And again, this being a tournament, we're playing for upside on
So,
that. We're
Dennis,
playing for max
I've got
points.
some other data that I know we were going to maybe talk about later. I did the COM data,
Ooh, yeah.
and I've got 2024, and I've got a chart here, and maybe I'll share it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so let me share this right here. So last year, the top 12 quarterbacks were about 12.6 weeks average median performance out of 17.
Hmm.
The top 24 or 12 to 24 were 9. So what I'm telling you is even somebody like Lawrence could give us half time,
And you,
half
yeah.
week, like 8, 7, 8, 9 weeks at above median, which is about 19 points.
And if we get lucky and those two 7-week guys
I mean, we even
have
down
their
to
good,
36
yeah,
last year, we're getting about 7 weeks out of
yeah,
17. And I don't think people realize that. And again, this is just last year, but this chart, it is going down, but it's not going down like you think. It's 74, 55, 43. The break is after 36.
yes,
But in best ball, you're almost 30, 24 to, so 12 to 24, 24 to 36 is a lot more similar than you think
yes, yes.
as far as spike weeks. So there's more, I think there are higher spike weeks. Now, to me, I'm saying spike is median in that definition. I
Yes.
realize you, but I don't think people think, oh, well, they're so sucky. I won't get. It wouldn't surprise me 6, 7, 8 weeks out of some of these cheap quarterbacks, Dennis.
Yeah, and that's what my MVP data says as well, because the break in points, the the, the top five are really skewed.
Yeah,
Okay. The top five are really skewed, and then 6 to 11 are a little tighter,
right.
but still better than 12. From 12, from basically 11 on back to 21, the drop off is not that steep, and then the drop off is nil from 21 to 26. So,
I'm saying that it's not as dramatic as you might think.
and in best ball, I'm more likely to play into that fact than I am in redraft because I don't have to set a
So I
lineup.
wanted just to give a
Yeah,
little ammunition to maybe taking some cheaper quarterbacks and going 2 bites at something else. It's
I
it's a
like that.
gamble.
I like that strategy because I want to have an elite player at each position, or at least elite at wide receiver. And if we could double up with Brown and Brown, considering that stack, whew, that would be good in a tournament setting if it pays off late in
So
the
go ahead
season.
and
Let's,
take Brown.
yeah, I think we want Brown, and then
Okay, he's done.
we will analyze before we
Here
come
we go.
back, you know, where we are on the other. But um, let's take a look at it. The other thing I want to take a look at
Yeah.
is what is the Eagles? What do their season look like towards playoff time when the as they say when they're writing the checks in fantasy football.
So I
And
got I got that data
ooh,
now.
yeah, so here's
And
so
yeah.
they get to play at the end of the season. They play week 13 the Bears,
Yeah.
week 14 the Chargers, week 15 the Raiders, week 16 the Commanders, and week 17 against the Bills. What those teams have in common is, especially the Commanders and Bills, are going to score a lot of points. So
Yeah.
our Eagles are going to have to score a lot of points to stay and
Let's
win those games. So
see.
I don't mind that Brown that Hurts Brown stack.
See,
And
team and then week. So I
yeah,
can tell you using our DAPs, which we will define later in the season if you're brand new to us. Let's see. Uh,
and that's
so,
defense against position for
yeah, yeah,
DAPS.
yeah. 15, 16, 17, Dennis. Overall, 15 is Vegas, above average easy. Buffalo,
Mm-hmm.
above average easy.
Yep.
And Washington below average easy week 16. So overall it's trending a little bit easier than normal as far as wide receivers. Let me see. And again, we're we're speculating way in the future. This data was last year's data, folks, but we don't have anything else. We don't have a time machine. Uh, Vegas is a little tough. It's a little bit tougher than I would want for wide receivers.
Yes. Yes.
That's what
But
I'll say.
but that's why I pointed out that I think some of these teams are going to score a lot of points. So
Yeah.
That I feel better about than what is a team's defense going to look like 16 weeks from now, because we
Yeah.
know injuries are going to come into play. We know there's so much out there, but the reality is that's a damn good stack to have between
So let me
Hurts and
ask you
AJ
this,
Brown.
just for the future, I know Devonta Smith is number two. Who's the number three? Is it Goddard? In other words, should
Yeah,
we put Goddard
probably.
if we
Yeah.
tried to
Yes.
expand that stack? If we're
Yes.
doing cheap tight ends, do we want to have him?
I think that would be the way to go, is
Mhm.
to stay on brand. And here's the thing is, you get to the point in a build that you're committed and you need that position anyway. So why not accept the stack? Because the stack is going to give you a potential for a big spike week versus having everything spread out among a whole bunch of offenses. It but it's you're not going all in, okay? And we're not taking Jahan Dotson as a wide receiver. We're taking strategic
Is there
picks.
any kind of wide receiver, rookie or second year that's something off the radar? That is there anything there hope other than Goddard?
So the only
I
other,
guess a running back that
yes,
could catch passes.
yeah, in
That
fact,
Shipley or
Bark,
somebody?
Barkley's going to get his, and
Yes.
so that's probably it. Shipley will get some attention out of the
I
backfield,
know,
but
and
I
I'm
don't
just
think,
saying, do we grab
yeah,
Shipley or Goddard? I'm thinking Goddard
I'm
could.
thinking Goddard because he's a solid tight end, and
Yeah,
but he's going cheap enough.
that's what I'm
As far
saying.
as wide receivers under the radar, there really aren't any.
That's the
Jahan,
question. Yeah.
yeah, Jahan Dotson is their
No,
third. He
no.
had one good year, his rookie year, and he's been
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah,
Johnny Wilson is a
yeah,
large red zone target, but he may not even make the team.
yeah,
The only rookie is Ines Smith, who
yeah.
is a project guy. So I think Goddard is the more likely
If we're
scenario
going
to
to try to
follow.
build something,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct. And I would try to build around that.
Mhm.
And maybe we add Shipley as one of our late running backs, depending on
Yeah,
how the draft falls. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
Love that. Love that strategy, Professor. But
okay.
that also shows the difference between redraft and a best ball. Because
Yeah,
in redraft, I would have probably said, you know what? If we take Baker, one of our top three guys
yeah.
left on the board at running back or wide receiver will come back to us.
Right, right.
And that would have been the strategy. But in a best ball scenario,
Yeah.
especially after looking at that com data and the
Yeah,
drop off
let
after
me
12,
show
I
you
like
because
that.
I do want to hit the ADP, but I guess I'm thinking because I know we got our secret cheat sheet that we're probably not giving, but I may share the com data with folks, and I got a whole bunch of PowerPoint things I may post. I need to post our posters.
So
I just,
yeah.
people say, why don't you? Well, I mean, there's no incentive for us. I mean, we're just being sweet. I mean, we're not getting clicks. There's no money in our pockets, but anybody wants to send something, okay. Send it to Dennis. He's a poor waif off the street. His panhandling down the street from his house. His wife thinks he works at this mythical radio station. He's actually going, him and his dog are up down there at the stop sign begging for shekels and, coins, drachmas, whatever he can find
my
out there.
my sign that I hold out.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
my
We'll
sign
work
that
for
I hold
draft
out there.
picks. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's food for I will draft your team for food. Yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I
that's how
know
I
you're
do it.
down there. You and Ash the Husky are doing that.
Oh, she's so
Guaranteed
sweet.
only husky games, no squirrel games for people. So, Dennis, this is a piece of data here. This is a summary of the 12, 24, 36. So we're talking draft rounds 48, 60, 72. 84. And these are the different positions. This is the trend lines and some things to think about. Tight end is in orange.
Oh,
Take a look at tight
oof.
ends. Just folks, do not treat tight ends as just another wide receiver. It is
No.
not the case at all. They are an elite tight end concept. It does have some things about it, and I've got top six, Dennis. I think I'll save that for secret stuff, maybe, or maybe I'll post it. But top six is even more dramatic, and
Oh, yeah.
that's, let's just say Dennis's elite tight end concept is not uh, something you should ignore. Okay, the com data suggests that that is right on the case, and there's some other stuff, Dennis. Take a look at running backs. The first round, they are higher than wide receivers, but by the
Yes.
second round, it's flipped
Goes around. Yep.
and it goes away and decays quicker.
Yes.
So, in other
Yes.
words, wide receivers lose value, but they're very linear. Running backs drop more.
Boom.
So,
Yeah.
this late round running back trying to catch a shooting star is not bad, because the run of the mill ones, if you're good at that, Dennis has shown he is. That's why you really prosper, Dennis, because the crowd is picking duds and you're able to pick out of there. Whereas, I mean, if you're not good at picking and your data says you're not good, then wide receivers are safe compared. Quarterbacks are the highest still in weekly value, so that's why people do the late quarterback concept. And there is something to that, but they decay pretty quick, so just be aware of that. But anyway, Dennis, this is the comp data for the in 12s. So what do you think? I'm thinking, my last comment, you're better than zero, for whatever reason, is more supported by the calm trends from last year
Oh,
than we
yeah.
might have thought.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense, because what I've always told you is I want to leave the the early rounds, the first three rounds of a draft. I prefer to leave with two running backs. I like the elite running back concept. And that changes of what is available as we look. And this year, I think there are some good selections in that third through sixth, seventh round. Some weeks or some drafts, it even falls lower, because I'm willing to take a shot at guys with back class once I get later in the draft at running back. Travis Etienne, I've seen him fall to the 10th round, Professor. This is a guy that was thought of as a top 12 running back not too long ago. Uh, I'll bet on the back class. And if I'm wrong, then I've got a dud as my RB 4 or 5. But if I'm right, I've got gold. And that's the way I look at the running back position. I'm very choosy early. And then I have that throw the spaghetti on the wall approach later in the draft of, let me take 6 of them. And we've talked about it. One of the strategies I'm using again this year is I'm using 5 rookies that I'm targeting after the 11th round. And Ray Davis is the other guy that I'm throwing into that mix. And everybody's going, oh, but James Cook is signed. Yes, I understand that. And if nothing happens to James Cook, then Ray Davis isn't going to amount to much. But if something happens to James Cook, then Ray Davis is gold. And Ray Davis is still, even when the worst of the Ray Davis inflation hit before James Cook was signed, he was still going. in the 9th and 10th round. Now he's back down to the 11th. So I'll take from the 11th round on, I will take as many dart throws at running back as possible. And a bonus is if they end up being handcuffs for the guys I picked earlier in the draft. Notice I say if. I don't force the handcuff, but I see the value in the handcuff. This year, love Chase Brown still, even though I loved him more when he was cheaper last year. People always say, who's the Chase Brown? Who's the Bucky Irving of last year? And I'm like, they probably don't exist. That was a abnormal situation that people forced those two great running backs to such cheap depths in a draft. But this year, I would say maybe Travis Etienne is similar. Maybe Scatabo from the Giants is a guy. Whoever wins the job for Dallas, assuming they don't trade for one, and hey, they could trade for Ray Davis. So, all of a sudden you're getting a late trade and getting bonus. I don't think it's going to happen, but there's a better than zero chance that it could happen, better than 0%. Yep. But whoever wins that Dallas job, whoever survives the Houston backfield with Mixon banged up and, Chubb's injury record, those are the kinds of guys I'm going to target, not because I think they're locks at being top 12, but that they have the opportunity to get touches. And that is the key. If I was great at evaluating NFL talent, I'd either be a GM or a talent scout or something in the NFL. I'm not.
Yeah.
So I understand that you have to play the game to look at the what ifs. And that's where I come in with this late running back concept. Give me a lot of shots at it. I would rather take 5 or 6 late running backs and have to cut one to pick up an ordinary wide receiver off the waiver wire than to start with that ordinary wide receiver.
Gotcha. Okay, changing, Dennis. I have updated our FFPC ADP.
Ooh.
First thing I do is this figure here, Dennis. Draft round, defense, place kicker, quarterback, running back, tight end, wide receiver, numbers. And then I do a ratio, running back to wide receiver proportion. Okay. And then I have a color metric. Anything is green, that round is biased to running backs. Purple or pink is biased to wide receivers. Yellow is about equal. So that is 2025. And I pulled out 2024. Dennis, people don't think about things like this in a grand pattern. Notice that the 8th, 10th, 11th, and 14th last year in 2024 were all running back bias.
Yeah.
This year, 8, 10, 11, 13, and 14, same pattern. Notice round 19. So is that something that people, that's just by chance? I don't know, but now I'm going to track it. Next year, I'll have 4 or 5 years. Is there a predictable pattern, say in round 8, that people are going to draw more running backs than wide receivers? 10th, 11th. If that's the case, then we can be prepared. And I've got some other things to think about, and I've got questions, but I just wanted to show you this. Dennis has not seen this.
No.
What do you think? Nobody has ever done that I've ever seen my proportion landscape concept, RBWRs, and nobody's ever looked at the year before, Dennis. And that's why, as a scientist, it's obvious to me this is what we should do, landscape, top down, and I rarely, if ever, see any of that. Might even put this as a poster just for
I
people
like
to
that.
see.
Yes. Yes.
Folks, there's something grand beyond your little myopic view this year. In other words, it's like well, I don't care about last year, but if there's grand patterns that the public is doing all the time, shouldn't we know about that? So anyway, Dennis, there's a lot to unpack. Just Dennis, I give you that one figure, and you're gonna like the next figure
Oh,
as well.
yeah. So here's what I'm going to tell you flat out. We, and by saying we, I mean the fantasy football world. I don't necessarily mean Professor and I, because we're smart enough to look at graphs like this. But those who do not look at these patterns, here's the reality. So over the course of the last 5 years, the the number of wide receivers and running backs that have been my super elite guys, meaning 120 or higher in MVP, the medians are very close. But from one year to the next, a different position might dominate. Last year, there were 8 running backs over 120, 6 wide receivers. And look at the reaction. It's flipped. Last year, so in 23, there were 4 and 4. And what was the reaction? We went more wide receivers last year, right?
Dennis, I'm laughing because that your analysis is what I'm enlisting. This
Oh, yeah.
figure,
Yes.
folks, if you don't have this, you can't think about it. And I'm telling you,
No.
it's like the elephant in the room. There's stuff like this out here that people are missing. And so, I mean, I get on my soapbox here, and it's just where's the panel to say, folks, before we get into who our sleepers are, whatever that means, or our league winner, let's just look at some grand schemes here. What do people think of? Nobody starts panels like I'm telling you, Dennis, if we ever get the data folks with us, this is the kind of data I would start with the panel. Let's react to this. What is this telling us this year? How can we take it back?
It,
That's the question that needs to be out there, and it won't be asked. No offense to anybody, but I'm just saying it's not being selected for. I think because people don't know it exists, because here it is. I invented it. I hate to say that, but I hadn't seen this anywhere. Anyway,
no,
continue on.
and so what it basically means is that in any given year, the chances, and you want super elite guys on your team, okay?
Definitely.
You want super elite players. There's a benefit to that. But each year, the medians are so close to each other that the reaction of which position you're drafting over the other should stay the same. Okay. It should be fairly even between running backs and wide receivers. This year, I think, is an anomaly with those tight ends pushing up. And this is a
Oh, we've
tight end
never seen that. We've
yeah,
never seen two.
this is a tight end premium scoring, folks. So that's why the tight ends push up higher on this chart. That's logical, but they're missing out. Like when I look at this chart, it tells me if I go RB wide receiver in some combination in the first 2 rounds and ignore the tight end, and I hit on a top 3 tight end in either the 5th or 6th round, especially if it's in the 6th. What if I hit on in the 7th round? I hit on the 4th best or 5th best tight end in the 6th or 7th round. It puts me in such a positive position with wide receiver and running back versus the guy that took McBride, Bowers, or Kittle. It just does. The maths on that. I have more elite players at running back and wide receiver than they do. And I chopped their advantage at tight end. Now, they're going to still have a huge advantage over the guy who took a tight end and flailed and ended up 8th or 12th best starter at tight end, or some might even end up with a guy who's not even in the top 12. There's a huge tight end advantage versus those guys. But if I get the 4th or 5th best at tight end, the difference from my points per game on a weekly, consistent basis versus the 1, 2, or 3 is going to be only giving away 2 points, maybe. But if I miss, I'm giving up 5 points a game. So there's always a trade-off in decision making. But I'm not so sure I can take a tight end, even in tight end premium, in the first round, because I'm giving up an elite wide receiver or running back, and that could come back to haunt me.
So just looking at this pattern, there's 3, and then rounds 3 and 4, none, then 5, 1. So I ask you, is there that much separation that why these are a slam dunk and there's nobody else that's, anywhere close? In other words, are we completely embedded in stone that these are the 3 and nobody here in rounds 5, 6, 7, 8 that could push it? That's what you're saying. If you're taking early, you're saying there's no hope for these next bunch, relative to, average median weeks, and it's so much an advantage I've got to lose. I'm not sure I'm buying that. See, that's the global concept that this data tells me just on tight ends, and I'm not sure I'm buying that, Dennis. I
No.
really think there's potential people like Mark Andrews, people like
Yes.
Ingram. I'm saying they could be higher than you think. But this data would say, nope, it's these 3 or nothing. And even saying this 2, and okay, maybe Kittle. So it's a weird year for tight ends.
Very weird year for tight ends. And usually, I love the tight end, elite tight end, but I love the elite tight end in the 2nd or 3rd round.
And they're not there this year.
They're not there because if I'm comparing the number 1 tight end to the number 2 at running back or wide receiver, because that's what you're giving up. Mm-hmm. You're giving up in a lot of cases the 2nd or 3rd best wide receiver or running back.
You're taking Bowers or McBride versus Amon-Ra St. Brown or a Henry.
So on average, the best tight end ends up with a 120 MVP index. Yep. And by the way, that was Kittle last year. It wasn't Bowers or McBride.
Right.
The top 3 all come in. This is the median. Okay. Last year, the top 3 hit at 100. They're all over 100.
Right.
But if I look at wide receiver and running back,
right,
the top 3 are over 125. So you're giving up 25 points on MVP. You're giving up a quarter of value by getting rid of those top 3 at the position. I'm going to bet that out of the 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds, one of those guys could be top 3. Because here's the way I look.
2 or 3 of them could be 4, 5, and 6, which may balance you out.
Correct. So if Kittle plays back to last year, he's actually the first tight end that should be going off the board.
Yes.
If McBride plays back to next year, he should be the 2nd tight end going off the board.
Bowers is the tricky one.
And if Bowers plays back to last year, he should be the 3rd off the board. People are
exactly flipping that.
It is. So, and I'm not saying that that's wrong. What I'm saying is, even if Bowers has mild improvement versus last year, you're still giving up a top 3 running back or a top 3 wide receiver to get Bowers.
Yeah.
You're giving up a top 4 wide receiver or running back to get McBride. I don't think the trade-off is a good one.
No.
Now, in the past, when I was getting them in the second and third rounds, now Bowers was a real value last year because he was coming later and he was the guy you wanted in that like 6th, 7th round, I believe. He was that cheap. But let's say it was a typical tight end year where the first tight end is going off in the second round. Now, instead of taking the top tight end over a top 3 or 4 running back, I'm now taking the top tight end instead of the 9th or 10th best running back and the maybe 9th through 11th wide receiver. That's a huge difference. You want top 6 at a position. You want the top 4 at wide receiver or running back. And if I leave the first 2 rounds, for instance, with a top 5 running back and a top 5 wide receiver, I am set up for success. No matter what else I do with my draft, I've got a good start to that draft. If I start out with the top tight end and my best, so if I take a tight end in the first round, my best running back might be 15th best because they'll come in either the second or the third round. If he comes in the third round, he could be the 15th best. He'll be the 11th through 15th best is what this data is telling you.
Yep.
And he'll be the 12th through 18th wide receiver because you will have sacrificed that pick in the first or second round. I'm not sure that's worth it this year, even if Bowers and McBride play back to last year's data. What has changed for Bowers? They've added a running back. They've added 2 rookie wide receivers. They've changed quarterbacks. They've changed offenses. What if he doesn't quite live up to last year? And we said it last year, he was only good to be a 3rd or 4th round pick. Ugh. You're taking him 2 rounds early? I don't like that trade-off. How about McBride? What if Marvin Harrison Jr. is better than he was last year and takes more targets away from McBride? Then he's more like a 2nd or 3rd round pick or 3rd or 4th round pick. How about Kittle? CMC is back. So there are reasons to say that those tight ends aren't going to be any better than they were last year. And there's reasons to say they could be less efficient in target share. And volume usually translates to points in fantasy football. I see a reason for all 3. Now, notice I didn't say they weren't great values,
Right.
but they aren't great values versus what you're missing out at running back and wide receiver. There's just too much of a drop-off at running back and wide receiver from the super elite. Your top 3, for instance, at running back were about a 125. 13th best is a 100. You're dropping 25 points in MVP at running back. And at wide receiver, you're dropping 30 points. That's a big drop, 35 points, actually. That's a huge drop versus 5th best. I'm probably dropping maybe 30 in MVP. So at tight end. So, and if I'm right about getting the 4th or 5th best tight end 5 rounds later, wow, that's pretty good. I'll take that bet.
This shows a grand pattern that it's running back round 1, and then it's really biased to round 7 of WRs. There are 3 rounds that are about equal. I circled them. Then it flips the script. 8th, basically 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th is running back. I've never seen a year quite like this, to where there is a multi-round bias to wide
Interesting.
receivers and running backs this year. What I've seen previous is kind of almost a bounce back and forth. Okay, wide receiver, then we go running back, then we go wide receiver. We zigzag. And this trend I've never seen before. So people are going to, at the end of the season, they're going to make plenty of speculations. I'm telling you, folks, I've never quite seen. Every year we think that it's either something unique that it can't be predicted or not. I'm telling you that there is these schemes and things, and they change. And this is what I'm seeing this year. And so the question, Dennis, and I don't know, uh, you and I definitely, I need your thinking about those deep RBs, because there's a lot of trickiness late. There's a lot of duds there, and I think people are reaching, and the better than zero is telling us we should be shifting to the opportunity is driving us, not just the shiny new thing, but is there an opportunity? In other words, a deeper level thinking. And I really need us, because I got a lot of drafts going. I need that thinking. I think wide receivers, I think with our cheat sheets, I can, use our Bush, our MVP. I think I could chart that, but what's tricking me is the RBs this year. And like I said, years past, last year, 8th, 10th, 11th, 14th, it's not unusual to see this same area
Yes.
being
Yes.
biased, that public is gravitating and picking straws up in here. But
It,
this year it's very prominent, and I haven't seen it. So I wanted to throw that to you.
so here's the reality of drafting running backs later on. For every hit you have, you're probably going to have 3 or 4 misses.
Yeah, but I don't like that,
Just
Dennis. I'm greedy.
I'm greedy too, but here's the reality. Okay,
Dennis, find me the Puka RBs for me. Okay.
if
What do I
we are
pay you for if you can't give me 3 or 4 solid RB1s hiding in here? Come on now.
so if we are set up after 7 rounds,
Yeah.
okay, after
Yeah.
7 rounds of the draft,
Yeah.
let's look at that first chart again
Uh,
of where the by round,
yeah.
where everything goes. So by 7, okay,
Yeah.
end of the 7th round,
Yeah.
if I've got 3 running backs,
Yeah.
3 wide receivers, and either an elite tight end or an elite quarterback shot,
It's about
okay,
27 or 28 are gone by round
correct,
7. So
correct.
almost get into RB3
And
territory.
here's the logic, okay? So
Three,
you're
four, 5, and 6
yeah.
are right in here.
So you've got a top 10 running back, you've got a middle 10 running back, and then you've got a 21 to 30. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say you end up with fairly good distribution at running back and wide receiver that way.
Yeah.
You've got, here's where you are, where you can now take those swings in the 8th, 10th, 11th,
That's the
13th,
better than
14th.
zero.
Correct.
Yeah.
The logic of the better than zero says, okay, I got my wide receivers, I got my core running backs that I feel pretty good about.
Yeah.
I've either got an elite quarterback or I'm taking a shot at a more elite tight end. And of course, if you miss on the really good tight ends, then it just makes sense to pick up two at the bottom and just match up City. I got an Ertz and a Goddard, and I'm going to figure out who I play. Or I got an Ertz, Goddard. I got two of the three of Ertz, Goddard, Warren, Loveland, Kraft, Strange from Jacksonville. I got two of those, and I'm going to figure out, can I figure out who to play on any given week? And basically what I've said is I'm going to let the core of my team at running back, wide receiver, and quarterback, or quarterback, running back, and wide receiver win the league for me. And the tight end, the good weeks I have from a tight end are a bonus. If I miss on those guys, more than likely, I'm taking one in that Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson range, and then I'm taking a late guy as well. That's kind of how I'm going to play tight end this year, because I don't want to give away an elite running back or an elite wide receiver by having Bowers or McBride. Kittle moving up to the second. He was third round just a couple weeks ago. And all of the talk of Ayuk being out and Jennings being out has pushed him up to the second, but CMC is back, and that's who he took share from. With CMC out, he took the running back share last year. Ooh. Does he give you more up and down? He had a career best MVP index last year.
Just to let you know, we are now on the clock in River Valley. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't like to bet that a guy who had a career best, and here's the data, and you be the judge, okay?
Okay.
If I look at Kittle, for instance, and here, folks, I'm not saying Kittle's a bust. I'm not saying Kittle's a bad bet. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is this. So last year, he had a career best. Do I think he is going to repeat that career best this year is the question I ask myself. And the answer is probably no. Like, I get it why he's going where he did, because he was sensational last year. But that was last year. And yes, he's had very good years in the past, but he's never had a year like he had last year. He's had very good years, but he's never been quite that high. And that's what concerns me for this year, because he's going second round. He has to live up to last year in order to do that. And, 121 was his MVP last year. Okay, tops, tight end one, measured by MVP. The year before, 56. The year before, 60. Double the MVP versus 23 and 22. Does he play back to last year, or does he play back to something between last year?
Yeah, here's Kittle round two. Right,
yeah,
that circle.
That's way too early.
Yeah, and nobody third, fourth.
Yeah, and that's
fifth we start.
Yes,
a little bit.
And I'll take a shot at Kelsey being Kelsey again.
Yeah,
but it's again, not saying he's a bust. What I'm telling you is there's safer values. And oh my goodness, Baker Mayfield came back to us, Professor.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Oh,
anyway, before I know you're excited. I knew you were excited, and I was excited as well, surprised. And so let's finish up the ADP real quick.
Yes.
And then let's go back. So I also chart round by round. Here's round 5, 6, 7. Notice the WRs. Look at the plethora. What's going on is the RBs are very scarce because people tied in premium are
Oh,
spending. You
yes.
see what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then here's round 8. Look what happens. And here's round 9. Look at the RBs 10, 11, 12. Look at this shift in what people are doing, Dennis. And you see the RB runs are going on in FFPC. They're starting in round 8. So now we
Wow.
know they're coming to us. So again, one last thing, and then we'll, because we could talk all day about this strategy. It's coming, Dennis. You can hear the hoofbeats. How do we approach that? And I've got to think because I'm coming into these rounds and I know what I'm going to be seeing. And I'm telling you, people, if they're not going to, all of a sudden, they're going to be looking about round 8, thinking, boy, there's a lot of run backs. And then that's going to crank them up from round 9, 10, and they're going to be just going nuts by round 10, 11. They're going to be,
Yeah.
fur's going to be flying for running backs.
And
So, do
yeah.
we jump ahead? Do we pick our second QBs while everybody's looking elsewhere? Do we pick another tight end? That's the strategy. Or is there some secret WR that's being met? I mean, those are questions that you can anticipate and start. You just won't be surprised. Now, this is a slow draft. That's why I love slow drafts because those questions are not easily answered, and you've got to think about who
Yeah.
you are. But if you got 30 seconds, people want 20-second
Oh,
draft. It's like what the
no.
hell? And
No.
and you would end up just going with. You'd be sucked into runs. 20. What am I doing?
Yes.
What? Okay, I'll just go here, and it's not satisfying. It's like that piece of pie looks good, and then that apple, and it's got a worm in it. It's like, no, that's really not good. But it looked good, and I ate it
Yeah.
quick. 20-second bite of that apple versus let me look all through here. What's the best looking pie today at the diner? And those apple look a little stale there. I'm liking that icebox pie down there. I don't know if y'all Northerners have those icebox pies, but we, in the old days, we used to have lemon and strawberry
Oh,
icebox
yeah.
pies.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
and you got to have your hamburger with the gravy and all that good stuff, and you got to have pie to leave. You can't leave the diner unless you have a big piece of pie down here in the South with a meringue about 10 inches high. Just my grandmother called it calf slobber. She loved calf slobber. She called it calf slobber. Come on, Granny. Anyway,
So,
she's gone now.
so when I look
Anyway,
at,
Dennis, there's what's going on. There's patterns. It's happening. Dennis, I need some education off camera here, secret stuff. Some of these opportunity guys, I need you to help me because I'm starting to come into these rounds and I don't want to be tricked here. I want you to guide me. And I think there's opportunities for some of these RBs starting about round 8 to about 14.
so what I will tell you last year that we used this data quite effectively, and this is the only thing we're going to tease out to the public. Now, right before week 1,
Yeah.
I am going to put out a cheat sheet
Yeah.
for the last weekend of home drafts. If
Okay.
people want to use my cheat sheet, there will be a cheat sheet that will be released. And the reason is because I want it public record so I can show how many wins and losses we had last year. But I don't want to share it too early because we don't want to lose money.
Yeah.
But I will say this, folks, being a contrarian can really pay off. And by that, I mean, everybody seems to want one of those elite running backs this year.
Yeah.
because they want Bijan, Gibbs, Barkley, McCarthy, or McCaffrey, Giante, A. Shane, Derrick Henry. Okay. Yeah, I would love to start my draft with two of those guys as well. But when everybody is zigging in fantasy football, I like to zag. And so I might lean into having one of those elite wide receivers. I might then double up at running back and have two very good running backs. Then I'll go back to the wide receiver and maybe double up on two of those. So by the time I get to round 5 or 6, I might have 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs. Might have 3 and 3 this year. And then I'm set up for decision making in the 7th round. But when everybody is on wide receiver in a particular round, that might be where I'm cherry picking the best running back.
Well, you got rounds 2 to 7 this year. I think that's happening, and it flips.
Yeah.
And like I said, do we go tight end, QBs, WRs here?
I think we go QB. Yeah, I think we go wait on QB and unlike last year where I think there was some premium tight end value, I'm not sure there is this year.
Well, so, I just wanted to share this, Dennis, and I probably should put this out, and by the way, I've got the com data by sixes.
Woo, doggy.
1 to 6.
I love that.
Look at the tight end. Rut row. Well, look at the decay. Top 6, next 6, rut row.
Yeah, but if I miss on the top 6, why would I even bother?
The next, just stream. Anyway,
take
folks,
2 and stream.
Yeah. So this is some neat stuff. Then I got secret stuff, and I got other tricky boxing whiskers. Got them.
Wow.
Professor's got secret stuff, and I had been posting, folks. I've been doing data posters and drafts. Been vacationing.
We kept the professor very, very busy.
But this year, Dennis, come about January when I've cashing on my checks, and don't have to worry about Breeders' Cup and the Kentucky Derby Trail is just warming up. I'll have some time. Oaklawn's just starting. I'll have plenty of time to start doing posters, and we're going to try to have 4 or 5, I think. If Bog Lung doesn't run us out on a rail when we show up with 4 or 5, he may get cranky at us. Please don't, Bob. We love you, but we appreciate your support. But anyway,
definitely.
Dennis, before we leave, do we want to talk about our river? And by the way, we are the River Valley Crawfish. So Dennis combined his world and my world, and we are the River Valley, aka the fantasy professor and the fantasy guru of zero running back, right? Or was it better than zero, right?
Better than zero.
You need a moniker. The crazy guy having about 40 cups of coffee here. I mean, that is you.
That's accurate.
When I see you,
that's accurate.
You don't know. When I see you to Expo, you think I'm seeing you like you are. I'm seeing you like this guy.
That was me.
You've got all these formulas, in The Beautiful Mind. I don't know if you saw that movie.
Yes.
John Nash, and had all these equations. That's what I'm seeing for you. You're thinking so quick. I got to slow you down, and you got to explain it to me. People, y'all don't know. You're meeting the jolly guy. I'm seeing this guy here. That's what I'm seeing.
And that's accurate after about 3 cups of coffee at the
Look at my eyes
before going to the Expo.
Oh my God, I want about 40 drafts right now. Anyway,
and before we get to this draft, I want to touch on a few things that are going on in the fantasy football world and how I'm reacting to him.
Okay. Okay.
So the Rashee Rice suspension talk
Yeah.
has gotten really bad. And they're talking about
10 weeks.
Apparently that was what the NFL offered. And he said, of course, no thanks. We'll go to a hearing on this. I'm worried that he's going to get a huge suspension. The only hope is that maybe this whole situation gets juggled back in time and he gets suspended next year. I think it'll be 6 games now. And that's affecting how I'm approaching Rashee Rice in drafts. I have some Rashee Rice in some leagues early in the season when the suspension talk sort of deflated his ADP. I was actually getting some Rice and Worthy combos, and I was kind of okay about that, figuring one of them will be on the field at any given time. The ones that have me more concerned, though, are the injuries. Thankfully, Ayuk and Godwin and Mixon are all being shoved down the ADP. But I'm getting to worry that these injuries might be worse. Remember how at this time last year we didn't know CMC's injury was bad? And
Could
he
be
ended up,
week 1, could be week 10. We
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. And Nick Chubb, we thought, oh, he'll be back week 4 or 5 or whatever. I'm starting to worry. So sometimes when you worry, the best pivot is to just pivot away and let somebody else have that headache. I'm leaning that way now with Rashee Rice at his current ADP. Now, if he falls to the 8th round, 9th round, 10th round, I'll take him and take good for as long as it lasts. But Ayuk, Mixon, Godwin, I'm getting so worried about those injuries. But we don't panic in fantasy football. We pivot. So because I'm worried about Mixon, I'm more likely to grab Woody Marks. Because I'm concerned about Godwin, I'm more likely to take Ibuka, who are both really priced cheap right now. And with Ayuk, maybe that's an opening that CMC and Kittle do have great years. Maybe that's a Pearsall effect. I don't know. And so with the 49ers, I'm probably staying away. With the Mixon injury, I'm really excited about Woody Marks. And I know he's under 200 pounds. So is Devon Achane. Okay, that's all I'm saying. And so is Jamar Gibbs, or was Jamar Gibbs when he was a rookie. Woody Marks will be fine. He was able to carry the ball 20 times in college and live to tell about it. And as far as Godwin, you got the Godwin Evans issue with both of them sometimes missing time. Egbuka makes perfect sense. The McLaurin holdout is even more concerning to me. So those, when I get into a situation like that where I don't have an answer, I will take a hard look at the player at ADP. If they're really cheap, I might take them. But quite often, Professor, this late, we're talking August 16th, we're talking just about 2-3 weeks away from the season. I start worrying, and I start, because that's what I've been taught, that guys we thought were coming back don't come back. And that is a missed opportunity on your roster. But we have one more pick to make before we wrap this thing up. And boy, this is a tough decision.
Yeah, let's go to that right now.
So those the 2 players behind us, between us and our next pick, they went ahead and they took Henry, they took London, Brian Thomas, and Nico Collins.
So they took no quarterbacks.
They took no quarterbacks, which surprised me. There are right now, okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players that will draft between our next picks. They will have 2 picks between our new picks. There are 6 teams without a quarterback right now.
Yeah.
So the question is, there's going to be a quarterback run.
Yeah.
There's going to be a huge quarterback run. So I think guys like A.J. Brown could fall to us if these guys take all quarterbacks, or a comparable player could fall to us. I'm kind of liking our situation right now. I do love Chase Brown, but boy, if we open with two really solid quarterbacks in Hurts and Mayfield, and then we have the opportunity maybe coming back at us to get A.J. Brown and then getting a Buka later in the draft, we can go ahead and have some natural, natural combinations that make sense to stack. That's worth consideration right now.
Mm-hmm. So you would argue Mayfield?
Yeah, as much as we talked about bailing on quarterback,
Yeah.
I'm now maybe leaning back towards taking the quarterback. And that's how you should always be adaptive to what happens. I thought Mayfield was going to be gone. And I was okay with Mayfield being gone, taking somebody else the next time and maybe doubling up next time. If we take Mayfield, I'm almost like, are the bye weeks different from him and Hurts? I believe they are.
Yeah. So if you count 9 down, that puts us, in other words, if people take quarterback and something else, the 9 people, that puts Stroud, Love, Lawrence, Penix right there for a third
Yeah.
quarterback. If we wanted to go quarterback heavy, or
Ooh.
we could, do something else.
So here's the problem. Hurts and Mayfield do have the same bye weeks.
Okay.
So they both have the same bye weeks.
Yeah.
Does it make sense to pivot here and to play our cheap quarterback routine?
Okay.
Or do
Let's
we go
spin this one more time. Do we want to give Mayfield to somebody else? Let's flip that question.
Yes, that's a big question because I'm okay with only having 1 week.
Yeah.
Where we have a buy situation.
Yeah.
Okay. And
that almost says take 2 really cheap.
Take 2 cheap. Sure. And maybe take 2 cheap on the same team. So maybe you take Richardson and Daniel Jones.
Could be.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Situation here.
Or do we? So running back wise.
So here's one more good news piece.
Yeah.
None of the late quarterbacks that we've taken will have a 9th week bye week. Only Flacco has a 9th week bye week, and I would not take a Browns quarterback come hell or high water. So we're in good shape because the only other quarterback to have a 9th or a bye on the 9th week is that we would possibly be taking is Justin Fields.
Do we take a Josh Jacobs Brown kind of RB? Do we pivot to?
So here's the reality. Here's the reality. There's going to be a quarterback run that is going to go on.
It's coming.
So guys like Kyron Williams, Omarion Hampton, Breece Hall, Ken Walker, James Cook, Kamara, Travion Henderson, those guys are going to be available with our next pick. Do you expect Baker to be close to what he was last year?
Let me ask you this. Without Godwin, what was he? Let's say Godwin's off half season. What do we expect?
Here's the crazy thing is that even with Jalen McMillan as their second wide receiver last year, and remember Cotton got hurt, or Kate Otten got hurt later on in the year. So they were even down on tight ends.
Yeah.
But with McMillan, who's a good player, but it's not as good as a Buka, in my opinion.
Right.
Baker Mayfield was still outstanding.
Yeah.
Like Mayfield's MVP last year was out of this world. So Baker Mayfield had no drop off. In fact, the interesting thing is when Godwin was there, his MVP was 143. Evans' MVP was in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Without Godwin, Evans' MVP the rest of the year was a 143. Mayfield's was no different from start to finish. There was no.
And he's got a Buka this year.
And he's got a Buka this year. And he's going to have a healthy Rashad White.
So are you trying to talk me into Mayfield? Is that what I'm hearing?
I would jump. I think I'm leaning Mayfield. Chase Brown is a good player, but this is super flex. Yeah. We will have only 1 week where we will be not great. Like if Baker Mayfield plays back to within 10% of last year, he's a top 6 quarterback.
Yeah.
And we're getting him. We have 2 top 6 quarterbacks for all but week 9.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could survive week 9 with a
draft Mayfield.
I think we got to take Mayfield because we're also keeping away from somebody else. I love that move.
Yeah.
I love that move.
And we will revisit, you and I, by text. We will see, did we just start the run? Or are these people going to ignore?
Yeah.
I mean,
if they ignore,
there's no way they're not going to take 9. I think the run starts now. I think we just started it.
I think it does. And I think I would not be surprised to see some of these teams take 2 quarterbacks before they come back to us. I think you're right. I think your estimate that 9 are off the board might be low. I think
it could be, but I was just trying to get a thumbnail of where we were.
Yeah, I think on the low side, 8, on the high side, 12 will be gone before we come back. And I love our situation because the QB that I would target late in this situation would be Tua. And I might grab a Cam Ward or an Anthony Richardson to go with that. I might grab 4 quarterbacks in this situation.
Dennis, I need some help before we go because I said, well, let me just, I need your help here.
Now, should we share this or should we sign off first?
What should we do? Okay, let's sign off and then you can help me. But I've got questions.
I love it.
I've got a Rashee Rice problem because I took him. I was a little too greedy, and I'm afraid I took him right at value, and then I'm concerned. And you'll see what I did.
No worries. We'll bail you out there.
Yeah,
we'll bail you out there.
Okay.
All
right,
right,
shut
folks.
this down. Yeah.
All righty. So head on over to the scienceoffantasyfootball.com. Now that the professor and I are both in town, there will be more data and more interesting stuff popping up over there. Hey, check out the other episode where we recapped our visit to the Fantasy Football Expo. And of course, come on back here next week for another edition of the Science of Fantasy Football.
Get to work, folks. Okay, no after the show because we got secret. we got to open the secret clubhouse. Okay,
all right.
Shut this down.